All right, moving on to Part 8, Priority Earth and Some of Its Problems. Mass Effect 3, Failure at Storytelling. Let's go on.
Stupid. You finish talking to Tim and start talking to the Prothean VI. He tells you the Citadel is the catalyst and that it's the key to completing the Crucible. Which brings me to question, why didn't the Reapers start their invasion with the attack on the Citadel? You know, the heart of galactic civilization? Why didn't they just do what they did last time when they attacked the Protheans? They can switch off the mass relay so all the races can't organize their military forces and are cut away from each other. You'd think that the ancient super-intelligent robots would have incorporated that strategy.
It does raise a good question. Why didn't they just seize the Citadel? But the thing that I always wondered, the fantasy that I would love to see fulfilled would be, what if we spent the last 3 years preparing for the Reaper invasion? What if the Council did not deny the Reaper's existence and instead we initiated a military economy, a war spending economy, the entire galaxy. Instead of just Earth, it's everyone. And we even make deals and treaties with the space pirates of the Terminus Systems, with Aria, a trade deal. That'd be awesome. And as you can see, how fortuitous it is that I paused it right here. The brown nosers of Mass Effect 3 insist that the Reapers were supposed to all look the same. Well, I beg to differ. Here at the end of Mass Effect 2, I see quite a number of different shapes of the Reapers. And that's what I was looking forward to. And the fact that they all look like copies of Sovereign was kind of disgusting when we finally got to Mass Effect 3. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, but please hit the like button. And if you don't like this video, do me a favor and do not hit the dislike button. Instead, comment down below what you didn't like, and let's talk like civilized human beings.
Instead of giving the races a chance to fight back, how is it that a dumbass like me is coming up with smarter warfare tactics than the all-knowing ancient aliens?
I know a number of fanfiction writers who do the same thing. I have to ask myself, how is it that a lonely, unpaid fanfiction writer can come up with a better story than you can? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that fanfiction stories are good. Most of them are absolute trash, but occasionally I find one that not only has good spelling, perfect grammar, good spacing, but most importantly, can write out a better plot than whoever the moron was that BioWare hired for the third game and in Andromeda. I know it wasn't the genius Drew Karpyshyn, so yeah.
We find out that the Citadel has been moved to the Sol system on Earth, which seems dumb since Thessia was closer and the Asari are more advanced. Wouldn't it make more sense to go to the Asari homeworld since they have better technology? But no, we have to make it about taking back Earth because it sounds more epic in the advertising. Speaking of which,
it definitely feels very contrived to move the Citadel there. I mean, like, our job, like I said earlier, Shepard is bipolar, switching back and forth between taking Earth back and getting the Crucible finished so we can destroy the Reapers. Those two objectives are not one and the same, and they're not mutually they're not mutually inclusive. They can be quite exclusive, but I don't know how to explain it very well. The point is, we didn't need to take back Earth if we simply fired the Crucible and destroyed all the Reapers, but the Reapers conveniently took it back to Earth to fulfill both the stupid marketing. Yeah, I'm not very good at talking. Like I said, this is an unscripted response.
Makes more sense to go to the Asari homeworld since they have better technology? But no, we have to make it about taking back Earth because it sounds more epic in the advertising. Speaking of which, it's time to end this bullshit. We're given a brief summary of the plan, where we have to reach the Citadel in order to activate the weapon. But here's my question. If our objective is to get to the Citadel to activate the Crucible since it's the catalyst, why don't we use the conduit, the mass relay linking Ilos directly to the Citadel?
That is an idea that my friend Veyron 722 Skyhook likes to say. Let's reuse the relay and attack him from the rear. But my only question is, would it still work because the Citadel had been moved? So maybe we might end up getting shot off into space instead of being sent back to the Citadel because the path had been changed. So who knows?
Just send Shepard and the Mako like last time and have them make their way to the center. Even if you want to make the argument they have to go through a specific entry point, they know that it's in London. Have the Normandy transport Shepard near the beam and they'll just run for it. And if the area is being protected by Reapers, blow them up. We have dozens of ways of destroying one in a couple of hits, so it's not like we'll have a hard time getting through. And there's another hole in this plan. If the Reapers know we're trying to get to the Citadel through the beam, why don't they turn it off? They have complete control over it. They can just turn it off, which would throw off the enemy and possibly trap them. But hey, these are the same Reapers that didn't start their invasion with the Citadel, so expecting them to use a tactical advantage would be wishful thinking. Anyway, we start the final battle as we see all the fleets and allies assembling for their attack on the Reaper forces of Earth. Pretty much the series' endgame moment. But here's the problem. This plan of attack is really convoluted. You got thousands of starships all huddled next to each other in a very close proximity. These ships, if they take enough damage, will explode, causing debris to fly all over the place. And with the ships so close to each other, the debris can cause a chain reaction where all the allies end up destroying themselves.
Just like what Palpatine did.
In the Chronicles of Narnia and the MCU, the good guys also had allied forces huddled up next to each other, but they weren't spaceships that could explode. They were ground troops made up of flesh and bone. So you didn't have to worry about a chain reaction where they self-destruct their forces if someone gets shot. This is a backwards plan of attack because of all the ways it could go horribly wrong.
And not to mention, as you can see, everybody is firing conventional cannons instead of relying on the new Thanix cannons, which are basically the blue laser based on the Reaper weapons. You know, and of course they're not going to work, and we're not going to see very many Reapers getting destroyed.
If the Reapers land a lucky shot and destroy something big like the Quarian fleet, there's gonna be a lot of team killing going on. And even if for some reason you don't view this as a plot hole, the fleet battle is so generic and boring. For 2 minutes, all you're seeing is spaceships flying around and lasers being fired at Reaper forces. It's as basic and one note of a spaceship battle as you can get. There's no spectacle or adrenaline to this battle because they put so little effort into making it exciting.
I remember after watching this on my game for the first time, I would go on YouTube to see what the other combinations were like. And boy, was I completely disappointed to find that the battle is pretty much identical, regardless of who I brought along. Bring the Geth instead of the Quarians, same thing. Bring the Quarians instead of the Geth, same thing. And on and on and on. The only difference would be the number. If the number is really low, we seem to take more casualties at certain points. But yeah, stupid.
And on top of that, when you eventually get to Earth's surface, you get absolutely zero payoff for all the time you spent gathering resources and allies. There's no cutscene showcasing all the allied forces you accumulated or any of your squad mates from the previous games. No Elcor, no Volus, no Vorcha, no Hanar, no Drell, no Quarians, no Geth, no Batarians, no Solarians, no Turians, no Krogan, no Rachni, and no Leviathan, in spite of them being the most crucial race if you bought the DLC.
Yeah. I gotta wonder, where are the people with the orb? I like to think that Shepard, when Shepard's given the Dominate power with the Leviathan DLC, it's obvious because he's carrying one of those little spheres that the Leviathan communicates through. Kind of like the Apple of Eden. In the Apple of Eden in Assassin's Creed, you grab the Apple of Eden, you deploy it, and it takes control of the minds of your enemies, and they destroy themselves or each other. Or in the tragic case when you yourself, when Desmond is forced to murder Lucy, which destroyed my love for Assassin's Creed. Oh man. Anyway, the point is there are other Leviathan spheres being carried around in the universe, and when I got that DLC, I was looking forward to it changing the final cutscene, and again, no changes whatsoever. In fact, it's never even brought up. Nobody ever mentions them. Completely disappointed. But we got to remember at least to give thanks to our mod makers, because they went out of their way to make, well, Earth feel like we have the United Galactic Force, which is cool.
Tarians, no Solarians, no Turians, no Krogan, no Rachni, and no Leviathan, in spite of them being the most crucial race if you bought the DLC. No Blue Suns, no Blood Pack, no Eclipse, no Omega Forces, no Excerberus Forces, no clans of any sort. You don't see Rex leading Krogan, Grunt beating down enemies, teaming up, Zaid shooting down husks, Samara using her biotic powers against Banshee, Jacob fighting alongside human soldiers, or Arya fighting to avenge Nareen. I mean, look at Avengers Endgame, where you see everyone coming together for the final fight against Thanos.
Avenge Nareen, but also avenge Lysel, because Lysel was murdered by Cerberus.
Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Black Panther, Ant-Man, the Wasp, Iron Woman, Bucky, the Falcon, Hawkeye, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel. All these characters who get their own badass scene of glory showing you how much they've developed and how powerful they've become. That was an actual payoff for all the time you invested in the MCU. What's the payoff in Mass Effect 3? Just spaceships shooting each other and Shepard doing more of what they've been doing throughout the game. Unlike Mass Effect 2 where you get to see all your assets being put to use, Mass Effect 3 just has a single generic fleet battle and then focuses entirely on Shepard. This isn't an epic final battle with all the galaxy coming together. This is just Shepard cleaning up the Council and the Alliance's mess after they did nothing to help. Seriously, BioWare? Fuck all of you for all the time you tricked me into wasting on this franchise just for me to get nothing in return.
I feel your pain, man. I definitely feel your pain. I do hope that you make a sequel to this video, by the way. Yeah, you know, like, I'm on Earth, and I'm fighting enemies, and I feel like I'm just fighting the same husks and brutes and banshees all over again like I did previously in multiple other missions. You know, where's the bosses? Aren't I going to destroy a Reaper or two? And I don't mean those little destroyer-class Reapers. Let me bring along my nuke cannon, the Kane, or perhaps the Reaper Blackstar, and let me shoot one up, you know, the red eye of a Sovereign-class Reaper. And have it blow up in a blaze of glory. And of course, let's not forget that Normandy has those Thanix cannons. Come on, let's see one get destroyed. In fact, I'll probably use that for the thumbnail of this video. Or actually, no, maybe not, but still.
This is what I mean by EMS having absolutely no value. You waste all that time trying to make those numbers go up and you are given absolutely no reward for it. The only thing EMS determines is whether or not the Earth gets destroyed and if the galaxy gets obliterated if you pick the destroy ending. And it has absolutely no influence on the controller synthesis ending. And even then, the Mass Effect 4 trailer confirms that the destroy ending was canon and that the galaxy wasn't destroyed. Literally, EMS has no reason for being in this game. It's an entirely meaningless mechanic. What a fucking load. I got more payoff for the money I spent eating food from Taco Bell. At least I got to eat some good cheese roll-ups before the unsettling bathroom experience. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for. The one thing that everyone seems to believe supposedly saved this game from being condemned as a terrible storytelling experience. The extended cut. BioWare's attempt to address all the fan backlash and give us a proper sense of closure for the Mass Effect trilogy. And I'll give them this. It is better than the original cut version from launch, but a polished turd is still a turd. Let's get started, shall we? First you have Shepard calling the Normandy for evacuation, helping your team escape while having an emotional goodbye with your love interest if you have one. It sounds good on paper, but there's a number of holes with this setup. First we see how the Normandy, by some unexplained space magic, arrives on the scene in the middle of a Reaper attack in a total of 5 seconds after Shepard called Joker.
You serious?
You serious?
What the jingle balls is this crap? You mean to tell me that Harbinger not only doesn't bother to fire on the Normandy, but that the Normandy is somehow fast enough to get to Shepard's location in 5 seconds from the space battle? If the Normandy was really that fast the whole time, I have some questions. Why didn't they escape from the Collectors in the beginning of Mass Effect 2? Alright, so this is a quick response to people who make the argument this isn't the same Normandy that was destroyed by the Collectors since this one was made by Cerberus. In the first game, the Normandy is established to be the most advanced ship in the Alliance Navy. Conversations with engineers and Admiral Makalovich explain how it cost a lot of credits to build and it was built with the most state-of-the-art technology. They directly state it's the fastest vessel ever designed. And it was co-built by the Turians who were established to have the most advanced military power in the galaxy. There is no reason to believe the original version of the Normandy is incapable of the same maneuverability and speed as the one Cerberus built. If you want to make the argument the Collectors had a more advanced ship, that's still not a good enough excuse. Because in the Suicide mission, we clearly see the Normandy flying circles around the Collector ship. Yes, your crew members can still die if you don't upgrade, but those upgrades are restricted to armor plating, kinetic barriers, and heavy cannons, none of which are related to the Normandy's speed and mobility. There's not enough dialogue to indicate that the Cerberus Normandy was made to surpass the original in terms of speed and mobility. It was said to be a direct replica of the original. Why did it take so long for them to show up?
Yeah, but it was still 50% bigger if I remember correctly. Or more.
At the beginning of Mass Effect 3? Why did it take so long to get to Mars? Why don't you just take us to the conduit on Ilos? This war should be over in 2 minutes. Also, we are at the most crucial moment in this war. The final run to get to the catalyst to activate the Crucible. Anderson told us that we can't retreat once we go down there. And now you're having Shepard call for evac? Who are you even evacuating? Just 2 people instead of a group of injured or incapacitated soldiers? It's a waste of fuel. Also, in spite of this extended cut supposedly being an improvement over the original, Harbinger, for some reason, still leaves the Citadel beam unguarded. He doesn't make sure Shepard is dead, he doesn't turn off the beam, we don't even get a proper boss fight with him. If by extended cut you mean extending BioWare's middle finger, then you succeeded with flying colors. Insert Marauder Shields joke and we make our way to the Citadel's control room, where Anderson is waiting. Okay, what the hell is going on here? How did Anderson get to the control room before us? He was never seen entering the beam and he says that he followed Shepard. How did you follow Shepard if you were nowhere to be seen after Harbinger's blast? And what do you mean by you didn't come out of the same place as Shepard? There is only one entry point in this part of the Citadel. How the fuck did Anderson get teleported to another location? And if that wasn't stupid enough, we also come across Tim. How the hell did he get here? Did he just waltz over to the beam while explosions were going off around him? Did he get here before the attack and was just waiting to surprise Shepard? If he was already here, why didn't he activate the Crucible to control the Reapers? Stop using indoctrination as an excuse. It's not a get-out-of-jail-free card for bad writing.
I warned you. Control is the means to survival. Control of the Reapers, and of you, if necessary.
You literally never said that at any point in Mass Effect 2. Your goal was establishing human dominance, not survival by controlling the Reapers.
They're controlling you.
I don't think so, Admiral.
Okay, then explain the operation where you had Reaper tech put in your body. Why would you even do that? Did you really think it would make you safe from indoctrination or that having it would make you less susceptible?
I've dedicated my life to understanding the Reapers, and I know with certainty the Crucible will allow me to control them.
The data you found at the archive said nothing about the Crucible's function. They were only blueprints on how to build it. Now you're just spewing random gibberish.
And what if he's wrong? What if controlling the Reapers is the answer?
You literally said in our previous encounter that you transcended humanity above the Reapers. Why do you still want them if you believe you surpassed them?
Do you think power like this comes easy? There are sacrifices.
You sacrificed too much.
Shepard, I only wanted to protect humanity.
Someone who's this obsessed with power does not do anything out of a desire to protect. Even in Mass Effect 2, you made that clear.
You've done exactly what the Reapers wanted. You're still doing it because they control you.
They're too strong.
At this point, this is just a rehash of the confrontation with Saren. They really couldn't think of something else for the final battle?
That's why it's called Saren 2.0, because he's basically repeating Saren all over again. But what bothers me is how he is so stoic and logical one moment, and it takes 10 seconds worth of charisma or intimidation, and suddenly he's like a helpless kid trying to work his way out of a problem he put himself in. It doesn't make any sense.
You know, if you're going to be lazy, at least be lazy in a different way. Don't make your incompetence that blatantly obvious by repeating yourself. Long story short, he dies and you activate the Crucible. After that, Shepard sits down alongside Anderson, giving him comfort in his final moments. And what follows is actually a well-written moment. Shepard and Anderson just taking a moment to talk, to reflect on everything they've been through. It's a somber and delicate scene that perfectly captures the core of their relationship.
Yeah, and most of it got deleted. Shame on you, BioWare. Shame on you. I guess because it brings up fatherhood or motherhood. And BioWare doesn't like kids. Doesn't like people having
Commander?
kids.
We did it. Yes, we did. It's quite a view. Best seats in the house. You ever wonder how things would have been different. How our lives would be different if this hadn't happened.
Sure.
I never had a family, Shepard. Never had children.
There'll be time enough for that now.
I think that ship has sailed. What about you? Ever think about settling down?
I'm a soldier, Henderson. Like you. Not really fit for doing anything else.
I don't know, Shepard. I think you'd make a great dad.
Thanks.
Think how proud your kids would be. Telling everyone their dad is Commander Shepard.
I don't know about that. Not everything I've done is something to be proud of.
God. Feels like years since I just sat down.
I think you earned a rest. Anderson? Stay with me. We're almost through this.
You did good, son. You did good. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir. Anderson?
Anderson has always been Shepard's pillar. He's always had their back, been at their side, willing to sacrifice everything for them. It feels like Shepard is whole and consoled when Anderson told them he was proud and that they did good, and they could finally let down all the pain that they've endured. Together, they accomplished the impossible, and saved the galaxy from an incomprehensible foe. You can feel the regret Anderson has for himself, practically begging Shepard to not wind up like the same old battered warhorse he sees himself as, encouraging them to make a life for themselves outside of war and conflict. It's a personal conversation that feels more personal with all the time you spent interacting with him, like you're actually speaking with a father figure. And with that, Anderson rests his head, and after a long life of endless fighting, he can finally know peace. Shepard looks on, watching the beautiful sight of Earth from orbit. It's slow paced, but it's done in a way that helps you get immersed in the moment. It's quiet and somber, allowing you to just take it all in. All they have to do now is give us a proper conclusion to the Mass Effect trilogy.
My only problem with this heartwarming and very touching scene is that by this point, I'm pretty sure even Anderson would be telling you, let's stop wasting time and talking, push the damn button, find the trigger. Find the trigger and pull it or squeeze it or whatever, but get this damn thing firing now because our people are getting murdered as we speak. There are still ships blowing up as we speak. Lives that could be saved, if we fire this thing as soon as possible. But instead we're talking, people are dying, and needless deaths.
Now, before I go any further, I need to talk about the importance of an ending. A lot of people like to make the argument that it's more about the journey than the destination, but this is said by people who underestimate the importance of an ending. This is the part of the story where the author says, this is it. This is what we've been building up to since the beginning, where the audience is told that this was all worth it. Endings to a story are something that have to be handled very carefully, because it acts as the payoff for all the time you invested into a series. It acts as the culmination for all the character development and all the world building established throughout the story. And if you mess that up, it'll make the story feel incomplete and unfulfilling, leaving you with a feeling that you wasted your time. People don't like to admit it, but we think more about how a story ends than how it begins, especially if it ends badly. With that fact in mind, it's absolutely crucial that when you get to the end of the story, you have to make it satisfying on every level. Imagine the kind of ending we could have for Mass Effect 3. The Crucible is activated, the Reapers are destroyed, peace returns to the galaxy with dozens of centuries-old conflicts being settled in the face of a greater threat. After the cheering and celebration, there's a memorial for those we lost along the way. Shepard and all their friends putting together a funeral for Anderson, paying their final respects to him. After that, we have a flash forward into the future. We see all the characters we grew to love living happily in their new lives. We see Shepard and their love interest raising a family.
Hey, dude, give credit to Huggy Bear. You didn't put a subtitle out that,
We see all the characters we grew to love living happily in their new lives. We see
Huggy Bear. Turned out he was a bit of an asshole, but he was a great artist back when he was, making art. He made a lot of post-war art that was, well, as you can see, quite beautiful. There's their daughter, and here's Liara wearing what looks like it could be a gala dress, and they're clearly ready to go to a party. My only beef with this is that, first off, the daughter's clearly wearing Starbrat's clothing, and they're having the mech dog instead of Ertz, the Varen we fell in love with from the second game.
Shepard and their love interest raising a family. We see races who were once enemies cooperating as allies for a better galaxy. And Shepard looks out into the field of their new home, thinking about the comrades they lost, but how their sacrifice was for a great cause. The insurance of a happy and peaceful future. It sounds cheesy, but that's what every fan of Mass Effect would have wanted. After the hundreds of hours we spent getting invested in these characters and their stories, exploring this world, learning about its history, we deserve an ending that shows respect for all of that. An ending that shows how BioWare truly values us for all the time we spend playing their games. If BioWare had just done that, if they gave Mass Effect 3 the proper ending it deserves, I would not be making this video, because that's all I would have wanted. An ending that leaves me happy for all the time I invested in this trilogy, the characters I grew to love, this world that I love spending time in, the immersion of the dialogue and gameplay, getting to customize my Shepard how I wanted, building their character the way I wanted. It really felt like I myself was part of this universe. Whenever I see Shepard talking to Liara, Garrus, Tali, Rex, Kaidan, Ashley, Miranda, Jacob, Jack, Mordin, Grunt, Thane, Samara, Legion, Kasumi, Zaid, Anderson, Joker, Javik, or all of these other characters, I see myself.
It's too bad that you only used pictures from Mass Effect 3, because I only had that feeling when I was playing Mass Effect 1 and 2. Mass Effect 3, I felt like my character was captured. He was hijacked. And of course, the brown-nosing buttholes like to claim that, oh no, Shepard was never your character. He was always BioWare's character, and he was always, somebody else's character, and yada, yada, yada. Bull crap. Mass Effect 1, especially Mass Effect 1, went the extra mile to make me feel like I and Commander Shepard were one and the same. They did an absolutely superb job of putting in the immersion. I felt completely immersed. I felt like I was Commander Shepard. Mass Effect 3, I felt like I was partly controlling somebody else's character, as they pointed out. It was stupid. I cringed a lot whenever Shepard opened his mouth.
That's me talking to all those people. That is when you know that you created a role-playing experience that truly earned its mantle as one of the most beloved video game franchises of all time. If BioWare just gave us that ending, that special ending where we see the end result of all the choices we made, all the relationships we built, the conclusion to so many storylines, if BioWare just gave us that sense of closure, every single moment of stupid bullshit that happened in this game, all of it would have been worth it for me.
I can't help. I honestly don't know if I would absolutely agree with that, but perhaps I would come in quite close to forgiving it all. Forgiving all the crap I had to put up with in the third game if you gave me a good ending. But I still am one of those who says that the final ending was just the final nail in the coffin. In the name of political correctness, my choices were taken away, especially in Andromeda, but Mass Effect 3 was the first one to take away choices. In Mass Effect 1, you're dealing with Ashley, for example. You can be her lover or her best friend, or you can keep things professional, or if you wanted to, you can treat her like absolute trash if you wanted to. And why? Because it's a role-playing game, and a role-playing game has choices. Choices, choices, choices. And if you take away my choices, then it's not a role-playing game at all. It's a lie. Well, in the name of political correctness, as soon as we get the token characters, like, say, Steve Cortez, our choices are taken away. You're not allowed to be mean to him. You can either be his buddy, his fuck buddy, or you can be his friend. The worst you can do to him is simply ignore him, but most people don't know about that option. And ignoring him is the only way for him to get killed, apparently, for those of you who especially don't like him. Just a heads up. Let's just say I've encountered someone who played the game many times over the years and never knew that that was actually an option. Well, anyway, please hit the like button, and I'll see you next time. And please enjoy my other videos. Thank you, and good day. And have a good weekend.